let us already discuss the diagram of the features worth method. So take note that in our diagram, we need to present here the cash inflow. So the start of the cash inflow is actually the beginning, which is represented by 0. Then the successive years, starting from the first year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, sixth year, seventh year, eighth year, ninth year, 10th year, 11, 12, 13, 14th year, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, up to the 20th year. So we need to project here the arrow pointing upward. So all arrows that are actually projected or pointing upward is considered to be your cash inflow. So we need to present this in such a manner that we'll be able to see the relation of the cash inflow from the cash outflow. Now, take note that because the cash inflow here from the first year up to the 5th year will be the same all throughout. So the total annual revenue or income amounts to 3,320,347.96 pesos. So here we need to put here the value of 3,320,347.96 pesos. So this is already the projected income as what we have studied or tackled in our previous discussion. So the basis of our revenue or the income is actually the rental income of the 25 units plus the income on land. So this is now what you call the cash inflow. So this is already the diagram. Now let us also consider here the formulas, where F or the features worth is annuity. So meaning the revenue here is constant, multiplied it by 1 plus the interest raised over the number of years, which is equivalent to 20th year, minus 1. Then you need to divide this by the interest, which is actually 20%. So this is the formula for the futures worth. So meaning you need to input here the annuity, which is the income actually. And then P is actually denoted as the present. Then 1 plus the interest raised over N, which is actually equivalent to number of years. So take note that we are actually benchmarking it at future time. So from the beginning of the period, which is actually 0. So this is already our benchmark. Then we would like to see what will happen for the next 20th year. So therefore, the total cash inflow, if we're going to summarize the formula, for the total cash inflow using the futures worth method, which is actually the present value, plus the annuity times 1 plus the interest raised over n, which is actually the 20th year. Then you need to divide this by the interest. So here, the future's worth value of your investment when it reaches the 20th year, so meaning this is already the future. You would like to see here how much is the worth of your investment in 20 years time. So take note that the cost of your land when you bought it is 5 million. That is why after 20 years, the cost of your land became 20 million. And then the cost of your lot is already increased. So therefore, it has appreciated. While for the cost of your building, because take note that building in 20 years time will already depreciate. So the cost of your building at present time is 7 million, but once that it has reached the 20th year, it became 2 million. That's why we were able to derive 22 million. Plus, take note, your annuity is constant at the beginning of the year till it reaches the 20th year. So we have the value, which is actually 3,320,347.96 pesos. Then you need to multiply this by 1 plus 0.20, and is equivalent to 20 years minus 1. Then you need to divide this by the interest, which is actually equivalent to 0.20. So we already have here the total cash inflow, which is actually equivalent to 6,869,118.70 pesos. This is already the total cash inflow. Now, let us already consider here the next step, which is actually the total cash outflow using the futures worth method. So all arrows that actually points downward is now what we consider here as your total cash outflow. So 0 is actually represented as the beginning of the period, then the first year, second, third, fourth, fifth, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, till it reaches the 20th year. So all arrows that actually points downward is considered to be your total cash outflow. So meaning this is actually the annuity once again, which is actually abbreviated as letter A, because from the beginning of the first year till the end of the year, which is actually 20th, everything is constant. So what are these costs? So as previously discussed, the cost has something to do with the cost of the investment. So take note that at the beginning of the year, just to run the investment or the business, you have to invest on the lot, which is actually 5 million. Then you need to invest once again on the cost of the building, which is actually 7 million. So at the beginning of the period, the owner have already brought out its cash outflow, which amounted to 12 million. That's why here, once again, the formula for the total cash outflow is equivalent to the present value of the investment times 1 plus the interest raised over n. Then you need to add another formula or working equation, which is already your annuity. So the annuity is constant all throughout from the beginning of the period till it reaches the 20th year. Then you need to divide this by the interest. So we have actually two working equations for this type of problem based on the diagram. So the diagram that is actually presented here, everything is actually pointing downward. This is now what we call the cash outflow diagram. Now take note that the first formula presented here is how much is the present value of the investment, which is actually 12 million, times 1 plus the interest, which is actually equivalent to 0.20 raised over the number of years, which is actually 20 years. Then you add annuity. So here we have the total cost of running the business is equivalent to 1,790,000 pesos. So now this is already constant all throughout the year till it reaches the 20th year, which is actually 1,790,000. Then multiply it by 1 plus 0.20 raised over 20th year minus 1. Then you need to divide this by its interest, which is actually equivalent to 0.20. Now the amount of the total cash outflow is already equivalent to 794,222,718.40 pesos. Let us already consider here how much is the total cash inflow and the total cash outflow. So take note that our total cash inflow here is 641 million. So let us already consider here how much is the total net profit using the futures worth method. So therefore, we have total cash inflow, and we need to subtract the total cash outflow. The total cash inflow is 641 million 869,118.70 pesos, less the total cash outflow is 794 million 222,718.40 pesos. So therefore, we have total net profit, which amounts to negative 152 million 353,599.70 pesos. It means that because this one is negative, it is not actually gaining, but instead the business is losing this much. So therefore, if we still insist on continuing the business, despite that the projected costs have entailed large number of outflow rather than the inflow, the business won't be that successful. So this is already the last part of the topic of our pre-feasibility study.